Before you guys actually do end up watching the video, please be willing to do your own research, to be honest, and also in general, just like get more knowledge, and also regulate your emotions. Do that. The thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that in Suriname you have a lot of adult figures that can't really, or can't, or like, just in general, they want change to happen, but they themselves as an individual don't want to change, basically, for the better. So they tend to cling on to the wrong people, you know. We have seen a lot of cases in, for example, the protest that happened, that was pretty much pushed by the same party that is literally in power right now as we speak, basically. And people were literally like complaining, or just, giving shame to the 𝚌𝚘𝚏𝚗𝚗 party, for example, the parliament party. And even though like they did only one term compared to like the NDP party, which is literally came again, the power. I'm not saying that, you know matter of fact matter of fact a lot of people literally say that, or like try to shame the 𝚌𝚘𝚏𝚗𝚗 party, politician party, for situations like prices going up, or just the things that, happened, or like got pretty much done by the government before, which was the NDP party, because they ran the country for like 10 years and they didn't do jack shit correctly for 10 years, Now there is a new image, as in the first Surinamese president, basically, that we have, like female president that we have. And yeah, surely it's a good thing, but regarding the history of the NDP, having a leader that literally was a war criminal and also a bank robber, like, it's really in a situation. And also the fact that people literally supported, you know him, basically, even though he has war crimes, even murder charges against him, for even possible SA charges, like also sexual assault, basically, if I'm correct. But um, it's stressful in general, to be honest, to really live in a country that, adults that you are supposed to look up to really don't want to do better, even though they, actually um, say that, and especially when you actually are a person that would be willing to confront these type of situations, they try to block you in some way, because Suriname government really has like a lot of friends and families type of shit. So it's like really, oh, I know you, and therefore, I'm gonna help you in this case and get you a position, even though you're not really, or even though you didn't study or aren't intellectually able to handle a high position like that. Which then you get a lot of people, which basically you get a lot of people in power or in high positions that are the definition of children in, high positions, basically, like Donald Trump, for example. Like, and especially the protest that happened, for example, was pushed by the same party that we have. Like, literally the day people destroyed the whole city for some reason, and nothing really happened, to be honest. Now, like, the situation basically really um, was a shock for the whole country, to be honest, because the protest didn't make sense at all. Like, because people started to destroy the own, like, the people started to destroy their own city, and the complaint, like the reason for the protest was that nothing really is, like, working. Not everything is expensive, and quite literally, the country doesn't have money. You would think that they would have a bit of a common sense not to destroy like the city and stuff like that. But for some reason, they started to literally ripping out tiles on like stones, pathways and literally trashing the whole city. Like there are still videos on Surinamese, like basically media that you could or even YouTube possibly that you could still find of people literally protesting that day. It was like it didn't make sense at all. And the party that literally pushed it was literally the NDP, and even they started trying to so-called do damage control. But the true motive was to literally remove the VIP, from the apart from the position, like or Santoki, which was the former president at the time. They tried to literally remove him from his position, and that failed miserably because everybody was like, "Yo, what exactly are you guys doing?" Because shops got destroyed, fucking businesses had to close and just renovate. Like it was really the definition of just the pure unintelligent people that make this also the Surinamese public really trying to do something. And here comes also the thing about Suriname. The reason why I can literally call it a joke, to be honest. The country is a joke, basically. Is that a lot of people lack insane amount of intelligence, critical thinking, or just the ability to really change. Like, for example, with the situation with traffic, just infrastructure, traffic, everything, like anything that makes that basically. If you look at the accidents that happen, a lot of things can be prevented, and a lot of, especially with the accident that just recently happened with like 5 people losing their lives because a driver ended up, hitting a bus and the bus ended up rolling. That accident could have been prevented. And matter of fact, if you also confront those type of people that drive like that, they will react in a way that's like amazing to me. To be honest, there are times where I even almost died because of these drivers. Even now, like a couple of days ago, matter of fact, 4 or 5 days ago, if I'm correct, I was confronted, or like I was in a position where a car was driving on a bike path. Matter of fact, 2 of them were driving on a bike path, even though there's like a highway next to them, or like for them to drive on. And like you can really see the issue, because these people most of the times have kids in their own car. So it's like, yo, you have children in your own car and you're like driving on a bike path, a four-wheeler, like a car basically is driving on a bike path where people for one walk, children bike, like just in general, like it's not designed for a car or a truck, but you see them just driving on it because they're impatient for some reason, or they have like a huge ego. And most of the times, right, the reason why I find Suriname to be a joke, or at least the Surinamese people, not everybody, but the group that really fucks it up for everybody else. The reason why I find them a joke is that when you like, and I'm gonna come back to like confrontation or just mentality, Surinamese mentality, you know like the Surinamese mentality is really like, hey, don't, like, if you see something bad, don't really, don't say anything. Look the other way. Literally just look the other way and try to ignore it and let it, let God handle that shit. It's just like, yo, like, why would I want to do that when I literally have the ability to react, when I have the ability to stand up for my own safety, for children's safety, for your own safety, like, for like, just in general safety. Like, why am I gonna be like, oh no, let God handle that shit? Why? Like, why? Why do you have to be so scared? And the most common thing that people kind of tell me is like, oh no, be careful. Those are crazy people. And in most cases, in most cases, they aren't that crazy. They're literally just the average person just decides to do that. Even my driver instructor that I saw once literally fucking do that shit. And he literally saw me. I was like, yo, Like, I gave him a literally look, a surprised look, and and he smiled. Like at this point, it's just a whole joke because even like as a tourist, for tourists, for example, it's very dangerous for them in general, even though we're trying to be more a touristy friendly country. Like tourism yet again, especially with like the famous place that actually exists, it's called Wakapasi. It's like a popular place in Suriname. If you literally look at people parking there, just people parking, trying to just parking in general, you literally already see the Surinamese mentality, not willing to bring change. Like the place is designed so well for them. Like even has parking spots, but you just see them park however the fuck they want, not even leaving space for anybody else. Not if you make a video about it, they're gonna start being mad. Like, hey, why are you filming? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Meanwhile, them, like honestly, probably one of these days, I don't know when I'm gonna go. I'm gonna make a video about this shit and literally post it and literally show the world what the fuck I'm talking about because it's out for the public. Like everything is literally out for the public. The only thing that only people don't do is to record or just talk about it more because they see it and be like, oh no, this is bad, but they aren't like, hey, let's actually do something about this. And yet again, you can't really go to the police because the cops themselves do this type of shit. I almost end up getting in a car accident with a cop because of their driving. No sirens, no nothing. Man's and just cutting up, just near hitting me basically, near missing me. And even the cops in Suriname end up also stealing stuff. By the way, like if you literally end up going into jail, they will take your jewelry, they will take your shit, and they will literally try to keep it unless you really find a lawyer and stuff like that, and even proof, that they took that shit. And then, even then, they will give you a look. Matter of fact, I got ripped off by a cop, a traffic police, that when I did my exam, driving exam, because he found that, hey, there was a person, walking past my car, clearly showing signs of not wanting to, pass in front of me, but they passed behind me. When I literally went, past them, literally, what the fuck? Type of shit. Now, the driving instructor, for example, also they themselves are really just in the shit in general. They themselves are just corrupt themselves, Like the whole country is really, like, yet again, really just focused on friends with benefits. Not friends. I'm fucking friends with. I guess friends with benefits, pretty much you could call it. Not the sexual kind, but just more like, hey, you're my friend. Like, money, this and that. Now you could say the cops are not, paid well, but then why do they vote for the same people that caused the situation? You like stupidity basically, and like especially with the case when you talk about like these type of situations, really, um, and you talk to another person about these type of things, they will yet again tell you from, hey, shh, like keep it quiet. People gonna hear how bad the country actually is. Meanwhile, tourists, like, they just show up here and they're quite disappointed by the lack of nightlife, for example, like the lack of like medical, just medic, just in general, because quite literally this was accident, the bus accident that happened, for example, that happened at 4 a.m. in the morning. People ended up really getting news reports about it, like only like possibly 9 a.m. after, and the bodies of the other people were only taken away around 8 to 9, or just paramedics only end up showing up around, that time or something shit like that. Like 4 a.m. you can really see the delay in the response. And especially like there are so many cases where ambulances can't or just don't want to show up because they're either moody or that they're either not in the mood to really help, like a lot of cases, like there are actually cars, for example, they say, oh my god, there's no car inside, to really go out, for example, to go out and help, even though they are, they literally just ignore your, plea for help basically, and you have to look for yourself type of shit. Like you can really see the fucked up mentality. Now, in some cases, there were possibly some cars not, but people were not really on active. But even then, you have other countries where they rush to go to work to help that person because that's your job. That's your fucking job. Like, what the fuck, man? And they have such a fucking stupid mentality. Matter of fact, those type of people that they should lose their jobs entirely, and should be banned from like ever working in any um, healthcare work, or just just helping people, because you lack empathy, you lack the ability to really, you lack intelligence. Matter of fact, you're stupid as fuck. But like there are many other cases, like for example the time where I called a firefighter, like for the fact that we live in South America, we have dangerous fucking bees, the tropics, to literally remove like Brazilian bees. If you literally look those things up, you're gonna see that they are quite dangerous, you know more like the honey kind. At the time we were cleaning a property, and we called them like 10 a.m. something in the morning, and they end up showing up the next day, 5 p.m. or some shit like that. Even though we needed them at the time, and we literally stated that, we literally said that basically. And the operator of the machine that we literally had, rented at the time, he had to risk his life basically. He even got stung one time. Luckily, he isn't allergic to the bees, but still a very dangerous case. They should end up showing up the next day, and literally just looked across the property, which was empty, because already was cleared. They saw that I literally didn't like that, and they had a bit of a moody. They were like willing to fight with me. Like it's amazing, how stupid certain ways people can literally be. It's amazing to me. It's like the one of the most is it's funny. It's like a whole fucking circus, to be honest. Especially the politics. It's a whole circus, because you have people that are like 40 years old that act like children, like literally kids. By the way, like kids, like especially with teachers. There was a teacher for one, for example, where I literally confronted for her shitty behavior. She ended up crying in class. She's narcissistic basically. The class blamed me for some reason. I don't know why. For like stating the obvious, or just telling the truth. Or just no, matter of fact, I asked her a question, and that question was nothing to be personal. Like that was not a personal question. Like I asked her a question, like a mature, like adult to adult type of question that you would have, like anybody would really have, any adult would have basically. Because I basically questioned her behavior, you know, and then she ended up crying. The class blamed me for it, you know. So it's like really the Surinamese mentality really is just based on low intelligence, low IQ, just low emotional intelligence, low ability to process any form of emotions really correctly. And that's really ingrained into the society, because for example, if you look at parties, and when parties happen, like massive parties happen, is really focused on like, hey, celebration, 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 not really like, hey, safety and those type of things. Now occasionally you do have systems in developed for safety and stuff like that, but it still is you can really still see the lacking in intelligence, the lacking in certain areas. The people that really are even a bit more intelligent tend to either end up just exploiting the situation due to them not really having much of a choice, or just something else, or just end up leaving the country. Because even I am thinking about leaving the country, because common sense really is a lacking in the country, and just education is just so low to the point that kids nowadays prefer, like, are better taught with technology. They've like the system is so old. Like we're working with stuff that has been expired already. Like I'm talking like 1990s type of stuff, and just even 2000s, late 2000s, especially the old biology books. Just the old stuff, just always the old stuff. If you literally go back to school, if I go back to school right now, I'm gonna get old stuff. I'm gonna get stuff that I already got. That like nothing changes, nothing gets, no development, no nothing, just pure the same shit. And and like you can like it's just ingrained and everything. It's just there. Everything, the old system, everything is just there. Especially when it goes to driving schools, when you literally people not taught how to parallel park or just how to park a car correctly. Depending, okay, it does depend on the driver instructor that you have, because some of them literally teach you like, intentionally don't teach you everything, so you failed the exam, so you make money again, type of system. Like I literally saw it. I literally understood this whole system already. I just gave a long one look and I was like, okay, this is just the worst type of shit you could have. The worst type of people are literally here just trying to profit off of, like, everybody else. And if you literally look at the cars that they also have for posts online, diver instructor, the other houses that they have, you can really just see from, yo, this is just a system that's helps them basically. And even when the cops end up stopping you, you know, for example, there was a case of a man asking a cop for his badge number. Like and the cop then supervisor, matter of fact, he didn't have that shit with him, and the supervisor he knew that he was fucking cooked, but he still tried to defend himself for yeah, but yeah, like if you really don't know any laws, Surinamese laws, and you can't really go look that shit online. What I've seen, like there was a page for it, but the page got taken down for some reason. I think I need to check again. Matter of fact, but there's a page for different laws that you can have and you can read and or study themselves. Different Surinamese laws, basically. Um, but yeah, it's like a lot of issues, like a lot of serious issues. Like yet again, people wonder why stuff is just going wrong, but the mentality is just the same, or every single year is just the same. It's just the same mentality. And somebody like me who's quite modern, will I literally feel like an outcast, even in schools, because the funny thing that people also tell you when you talk English is, why do you speak English? Like, you're in Suriname, speak Dutch, or like speak any other language. It's like, what the fuck, like Suriname is like the most mixed country. Like, how are you gonna give me some unintelligent, argument? Like, if you don't understand English, just say that, like, just say that. It's stupid as fuck. But even when you end up recording, in public, people might give you a attitude. For example, especially like the grown men, really are the one of the worst in, or like the definition, the stereotype of men not being, able to regulate their own emotions. I've had in many cases. For example, my second job that I had, really had to work with like children. Like not everybody there was, but still like the main adults, like the really older dudes, really just stared me down. You might be like, oh, it's because I had nail polish, because I'm gay or stuff like that. Nah, it's because I really am a person that really represents, that I'm a mirror person. Let me just say that. Because if a kid feels comfortable with me, or just with, if customers even prefer to go to me, you already know that it's mostly just jealousy and stuff like that. Like grown adults, even especially my manager, narcissistic as fuck basically, and potentially queer, or potentially gay, and really had that I'm trying to be straight, but I actually like you type of shit, because how, like a manager staring me down for like what, 3 hours or some shit like that, just and giving me that eye stare and even passive aggressive, emotions. It's just wild to me. It's really just like, it's yeah, it's surprising, And yeah, I kind of went off topic about, but yeah, like it's really, everything is just ingrained in, like it's all like a whole system. Like the whole system is not benefiting anybody. Really, it's not even benefiting the rich. Like the rich might say, yeah, I have a car, this and that, but if you really think about it, it doesn't benefit anybody. Like it does not benefit anybody for the long term, like the long run. Because look at the system right now. If a house burns down, or the whole neighborhood is on fire, which is a forest fire, we can't. We can't put that shit out. We cannot put that shit out. Matter of fact, it happened already. The forest fire was burning for like what, a couple of months, a couple of months, literally burning massive amount of smoke, and we had to look for help from another country because we don't have a system for it. We literally have everything that's like old, and the robberies. I mean, okay, surprising the cops are able to take down robberies and just stuff like the criminal stuff like that, which I do find nice and amazing. That's the good side of the cops, or just paramedics are just getting newer equipment and stuff like that, which is really good. That's actually the good stuff for still there, but the mentality is really the major issue, because yet again, Suriname has a lot of opportunities like everybody else has. We are literally a rich country because in the past we were even like one of the most richest countries. We were even richer than the Netherlands, and matter of fact, more than half of Europe at the time, because we had a mining, we had a mining business. We had like a lot of tourists, and we had like a lot of things going on for ourselves. But yet again, mentality and greed and the just not willingness to change killed us. That's the truth. Because right now I'm not supposed to have a conversation like this. Right now we were literally supposed to be one of the most richest nations in South America. So it's like, yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's. I mean, there's like so much more to be honest I can really talk about, but I don't want to make the video too long because it's like, yeah. I mean, it's already long, but still, like, the issue is like actually this, but actually no. How can I say this? The solution is there, but the issue is that people don't really want to change. That's the issue. Because if people literally wanted to change, like individually, really wanted to develop, we would literally already be, past this stage. We would already have a lot of. We wouldn't have accidents the way we have accidents now. We would actually be able to be, better as a society, a Surinamese society. But due to the lack of a lot of things and here and there, yeah, that happens. But yeah, still, be willing to fact check me with stuff like that. Yet again, do your own research. I'm not a genius. I mostly think I'm dumber than everybody else, to be honest. But do your research, do your own, you know, just be smart about situation before you make a comment or just anything else. Yeah.